And hello again to the BFOD squad. Welcome back to this podcast, Barrel Full of Daryl, Season 2, and we are now on episode 12. That's a dozen. And we discuss music, movies, add a sprinkle of mirth, and hopefully some other funky ass shit. Now, last week I asked you a mystery movie quote, and it goes like this. What kind of music do you usually have here? Oh, we got both kinds. We got country and western. So what movie's that?
Blues Brothers.
Blues Brothers. Blues Brothers. Great movie. I'll have to discuss that one in the future. Mystery music lyric. When I get drunk, well, I know I'm going to be the man who gets drunk next to you.
500 miles. Oh, this is the next one.
Okay, so
Logan pointed
Yeah.
okay, my turn.
I was.
as you may have,
Just roll over it.
as you may, I don't cut tape.
Just roll tape.
As you may know by now, this is a special episode. I am sitting at my dining room table with Kinsey,
Hello.
Megan,
Hello.
and Logan.
Hey.
All right. So it's a family affair, this episode. It's great. And we are going to discuss music. What's the band we're going to discuss, Logan?
The Killers.
The Killers. What's so special about the Killers? Sounds kind of criminal.
Well, you mean the band name?
The band itself. What makes it special to you? Is this one of your favorite bands?
Yeah, it's. Right now, I would have to say they're my second favorite band, but that could change. But I'm really fond of their earlier music that was like really influential to the alternative and indie rock scene.
Okay.
And they just brought a lot of interesting stuff to the table that wasn't really mainstream at the time. They did it very, very well.
So what is their genre?
Well, sort of like alt rock. Later they moved on towards like, as you could say, like heartland rock, like American rock. They developed a very different style over a couple albums, but they started out very alternative.
So you say they're your second favorite. What
Yeah.
is your favorite band?
21 Pilots.
21 Pilots. I knew that.
Yeah, we'll do that some other time.
I'm like a lawyer. I don't ask a question that I don't already know the answer. Okay, the Killers. Megan, are you familiar with the Killers?
I used to listen to them in high school. It was one of the CDs because, cars back then had like it was cool. It had like a 6 CD rotation. So that was, their album Hot Fuss was one of them that I listened to a lot. In addition to Green Day and Fall Out Boy, those were my top listened to. So yeah, definitely familiar with the Killers. And I'm pretty sure I introduced you to the Killers when you came to visit in March. And then we listened to Hot Fuss on our way back from Whidbey Island on the drive back down to Bremerton. So that was your introduction to them. Like, I was listening to them in high school. And Mr. Brightside is one of my favorites. Somebody told me, of course. Good one.
Kenzie, are you familiar with the Killers? Because personally, I am not. I've seen a couple of music videos.
Yeah, no, out of curiosity, I've listened to their discography, but that's about the extent of it. I wouldn't say that I don't really hold an opinion on them too much, and I think for the most part, I'll be like a passive listener and hoping to gain something from the conversation.
Okay.
Maybe I'll grow an appreciation for them after this.
You be a lurker.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, looky-loo.
Yes.
Okay. So, who wants to tell me something more about the Killers? How many
Logan.
how many people are in the band?
4.
4.
I forgot the names of 2 of them, but the frontman, Brandon Flowers, which you guys probably have seen, and the drummer is Ronnie Vanucci Jr. And he was actually a classical percussionist before he joined the band. I think he did a lot of like concert style music, and it's
Wow.
great person to have as a drummer.
Classically trained.
Yeah.
Wow. Who's the lead singer then?
Brendan Flowers.
Okay.
It's a good lead singer name.
Yeah,
I think
pretty
any,
cool.
any last name with like a noun for a last name is pretty good.
as a plural.
Yeah, definitely.
It has to be plural. Brendan Flowers would be weird.
Oh, apparently the name The Killers was taken from the bass drum logo of a fictitious band featured in the music video for the song Crystal. Yeah.
Yeah.
By New Order.
Mhm.
Huh.
It's cool to learn how bands get their names. 'Cause
Yeah, that song, that music video, it was like they had sort of like a different version of their band, like a fictional version, and they like in the music video they're called The Killers.
Ah. Well, you know, Megan said she listened to them in high school, and that wasn't yesterday. So how
close enough.
have they been around? What year did they hit the scene?
Early 2000s, I think.
2001.
Oh, okay.
2001.
For the listener and for reference, you are 16 years old.
Yeah.
Today, born in 2010. We won't get into Megan's age, although right.
9.
So there's a generational thing happening here, and it's kind of interesting that you like think about. From my perspective, I was born in '84. My favorite genres are bands that were prior to when I was born, 1970s. So it's I don't know if it's encouraging. I think it's encouraging to see that you're looking backwards and appreciating music that was around before your time.
Mhm.
That's a good point because Logan comes to me and you, Kenzie, for music ideas. What should I listen to?
Yeah.
And I know you made him a list one time. And I always feed stuff to him as well.
Right.
I think he ignores what I tell him.
I feel the same way.
I think
It's hard to communicate that. Like it's maybe an experiential thing.
yeah.
I don't know. Or maybe it's a generational thing. But it is. I think it's really interesting. Like these bands, the Killers and others of that ilk, don't really resonate with me. And I don't know if it's because they're a different genre than what I'm into.
Different sound. I think.
Yeah. But I think it's fascinating that you've got people that like something from before their generation, and then Logan being further advanced. He likes stuff from before his generation, so maybe it just flows. Maybe that's just like a natural progression of things.
I wonder how much of it is like the age time frame too, because I was driving and I was like 16, 17, and then like The Killer, I really liked them, and Green Day and like that kind of alt rock kind of genre. So I wonder if it's the age
Things you
too.
absorb unconsciously, subconsciously, somehow.
I guess so.
One of my first memories, personally as a child, I was probably, I put myself at 3 or 4 years of age, like very, very early memory. I remember my mom playing an 8-track tape in her Ford Bronco, probably in the 1980s. I'm born in 1984. Strawberry Fields Forever and Hello Goodbye were like some of my early favorites.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's like a formative thing that you
It could be. Yeah. And Logan, 16 years old now.
Yeah.
A few days ago. But I think you already have a very broad exposure and experience to a lot of bands, especially from me and my age and Kenzie's age and Megan's age. I know you and I were in a thrift shop recently, and you were looking through some CDs, and you thought you had found a CD that you knew. It was close in name. I can't remember. Songs from the something, but then you said, "Oh, I'm mistaken. I thought this was Songs from the Big Chair." And that is, what's that band?
Tears for Fears.
Tears for Fears. And for you to know that, my brain popped a little.
It blows my mind.
And you know, that's probably their biggest album. And the fact that you knew that and you kind of made a mistake in picking that up, but it turned out great, in my view. So, how many awards have the Killers won?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
Have they won any?
Probably.
Okay. And what's your favorite song by them?
Oh, This River is Wild from Sam's Town.
Sam's Town. That's the album you recommended that I listened to.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite albums, if not my favorite album of all time. Every single song is so great in its own right. But
Okay.
This River is Wild from that album is one of, if not my favorite song of all time. It's really hard. But also, they have a single later on called Boy, like pretty recently. It's from an album that they were working on. But pretty much what happened was they finished it and they're like, this isn't our style. This sounds really weird. We don't like this. Let's start over. So that was a couple of years ago, and now they're working on the upcoming album, which I respect very, very highly because they just like they knew they were very true to who they were, and like they kind of branched off too much, or like they accidentally made something they felt was too deviant from their style or who they thought they were, and they just tried it again. But they kept a couple, like a small handful of songs from that album which they really liked, and one of them is called Boy, and it's a closer style to Hot Fuss than I think any of their other like styles really, like kind of the indie style they had with Sam's Town and how they moved into sort of, I wouldn't say generic American rock, but a little bit generic American rock,
Okay.
like from Battleborn onwards, which is their fourth album.
Okay.
But yeah, that song, that single from that scrapped album called Boy, I think is like it's almost like they wanted it to be Hot Fuss. It sounded I guess Hot Fuss was sort of like a party album, sort of, if that makes sense, like in a lot of ways. Like it released on New Year's Eve, like when it came out, I think 2001, you said?
They formed in 2001.
Oh, okay. 2003 then, right?
I don't think so. I think it was recent.
So
Okay.
they are
Because it
an
was kind of
American band?
Yeah, based in Vegas. They have a very British sound, which I'll get into later.
Bus was released June 7th, 2004 in
Oh.
the UK, sorry, and on
Yeah.
June 15th in the US of 2004.
What? Okay, maybe it was Hot Fuss that released on New Year's or something. What released on
Oh.
New Year's?
This was released in June.
I know, but what was released on New
which
Year's?
one?
There's something. Oh, it might have been one of the singles from the album or something.
Okay.
But sort of, sorry, but they have like sort of a party sound to Hot Fuss, but some of the more like emotional songs on there are like they have a easily identifiable sound that are like not really tied to that main theme of the album. Sorry, I'm rambling a bit here. What was track 7, I think it was, or track 8 on Hot Fuss? What was it?
I don't know. You're getting in the weeds now.
Sorry.
That's okay. So the album
But-
is Hot Fuss.
Yes.
And that's the one you would recommend our listeners to, if they're unfamiliar with the Killers.
Listen to that one and Sam's Town.
Which one?
Hot Fuss and Sam's Town.
Okay.
The
Um,
entire albums.
yeah.
Okay. I've got a road
Or
trip.
the first two. Okay, so all these, part of all these things that I've done, Change Your Mind and Believe Me Natalie, I think are very similar in ways that you can only really tell if you listen to them. But I think that single Boy was trying to be like those songs from that album. It's sort of I kind of circled back to that. I apologize, but
That's okay.
I really like the style that they're going for with that,
Okay.
and that is the long answer to what is my favorite song that you asked minutes ago.
Nice way to complete the circle. That was a good job. And good discussion too. I think I've got a road trip coming up, and I will put those two albums on my playlist and give them a good listen.
Okay.
And see what you'll see what I think. I think it's cool that you said they go through these different eras of their musical style and how they change things because I think it just makes it interesting when you can listen to a band and see how they progress.
Yeah.
And especially when they deviate from something that's what they would consider the norm. And especially if they change based on that, like maybe they course correct or they go further in that direction. That they learned something from the experience. Maybe the listeners responded in a certain way that they liked or didn't like. I think that you can gain a lot from that information, both as a band and a listener, as a fan of the band.
Anything else on the Killers from anybody?
Oh, what more questions do you have?
I was interested by the
Zero.
fact that you said Heartland rock. Is that the term you used? I've
Yeah,
never heard
that's-
that.
Yeah, funny there.
And they're from Vegas.
Yeah,
Which is not the Heartland.
it's the style. I think it's like I don't know how to describe it, but like Central American rock, I guess, is like
So
that style that's
like Kansas?
I would think, yeah. I feel like, and I don't know what Heartland rock means, but Kansas. It's probably the name
like
actually.
when you,
But I would kind of think of Kansas as being sort of a heartland rock.
Yep, Midwest.
Yeah.
What
But-
did you
I think
find out?
there's like the Eagles. I think is what I kind of tie it to, like
Okay.
desert night music.
Yeah.
If-
Yeah.
like
Eagles,
like
Eagles are
Hotel
great
California.
desert night music.
Yes,
Yes.
that's what I'm thinking.
When I hear the Killers, I hear something that's like derivative of 80s, maybe punk style. In particular, bands with the name of the blank, the Strokes, the yeah, maybe not the Who, but of that. There's a lot of bands that had that very basic name.
Yeah,
And I feel like they're evoking that with the name The Killers.
Mhm.
Can you talk about what are their influences? What kind of
Well, you said the Strokes. That is, I think Brandon Flowers' like biggest influence was like, I saw in an early interview he said like we want it to be the Strokes. We want it to be exactly like the Strokes.
Mhm.
So it's something like that.
there's a similar sound there?
Yeah, a lot of 70s to 90s like alternative rock, but also like classic rock, like the Eagles, stuff like that.
But doesn't that make their music derivative?
Maybe. Yeah,
It depends.
I don't know. I use the word derivative. I'm not sure I really like that word because it's like everything's derivative to a degree.
That's true.
But it's like Shakespeare. Nothing new is under the sun. Everything's built on the shoulders of giants. So I don't know why I use that word actually, but it does. For me, they sound like other bands.
It has a derivative has a negative connotation.
Yeah, it kind of does. Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
But if I think of the bands I've discussed, like the Decemberists,
Mhm.
nothing in them is derivative.
I would argue that point. Actually.
Okay.
Yeah, just for the sake of conversation. I don't know if now is an appropriate time to get into it, or I would say that the Decemberists, which was on BFOD's podcast last week, or 2 weeks ago,
2 weeks ago.
they are a folksy band, and I think that derivative. I would argue that they are derivative in that they are like a neo roots kind of folks band. So their sound comes from a very traditional style, and I would say that they're almost more derivative than most things you hear nowadays.
Mm. I think if they're derivative of anything, it's Irish folk.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
You know?
And that's like, I think that's purposeful. I think that's what they're going after. I think they're trying to capture a new uh, uh, group of fans that are wanting more from that genre, more from things that you just don't hear that stuff anymore.
Yeah.
But maybe you should. You know, like a lot of these old things, they kind of things go in cycles. Disco,
Yeah.
disco will come back one day.
Disco's just dead.
And it's kind of having, actually, if you listen to the new soundtrack for, what's it called? The movie we just watched. The
Weapons or Oh Brother?
no, the fashion movie.
Devil Wears Prada
Devil
2.
Wears Prada. That soundtrack is pretty good. It's all disco infused, but it's newer people. It's
Lady Gaga.
yeah,
Dua
Gaga,
Lipa.
Dua Lipa. I mean, she's got a lot of disco in her. What was the other one that was really prominent on that album? It's great. I don't know. We'll come back to it, but you see these things that kind of happen in cycles, just like fashion. People, when I was growing up, I was in high school in the late '90s, and it's semi-related. Bell bottoms are coming back into fashion, and these were something that were hated and out of fashion for 20 years at that point.
Hip huggers and bell bottoms.
Yeah, and then so like fast forward a little bit. At that time, just prior to the bell bottoms, it was these Janko jeans that were gigantic legged jeans, and everybody hated them after that. And lo and behold, like here we are 20, 30 years later, and think that that's coming back now.
Well, like you said earlier, nothing new under the sun.
Yeah,
You know, everything's retro.
everything is derivative of something
Yeah.
else.
Okay. I'll abide.
And any band is derivative to what influenced them.
Yeah.
Every single band, up until like a caveman who's whistling into like a blade of grass or something. I don't know when that was invented. It's like it. I don't think you
I
could.
think that was 1980.
I don't like. I don't think you could say derivative because you could say that about any band. That's within our time.
There's derivative and then there's derivative. I think.
I know what you mean.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're trying to duplicate a sound, that's derivative.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to improve on a sound or bring back a sound, that's not so derivative.
Yeah. It's a fine line there.
Yeah.
I think while I got the mic, I'm gonna shout out a band. The shit, and I forgot their name. I want to call them the Lennon Claypool Delirium.
The Lennon Claypool Delirium.
Yeah, that might or might not be their actual name.
So that's John Lennon and
This is Sean Lennon,
John Lennon.
John Lennon's son, and Les Claypool from his very many bands.
Yeah.
Both excellent. Yeah, the Claypool Lennon Delirium. Okay, we just looked it up.
Okay.
That's a band that I think you could easily call derivative in either way. Derivative in that they're deriving their sound largely from the psychedelic sound of the Beatles, that era, White Album. And now, if you're a purist, I think I could understand you might feel like they're aping that sound for, I don't know, maybe for lucrative reasons or whatever it may be. Maybe they're trying to pinch that sound and get popular off it. But this is John Lennon's son.
I mean, they don't need the money, right?
Right, yeah. And this is Les Claypool, who's been popular and successful in many genres.
Yeah.
These are both very successful artists. And what they've turned out with both their first album and their most recent album are really, I think, wonderful works. And I think that they're worth a listen for Beatles fans and people that may not yet be into the Beatles. I think that they they do a derivative sound in a good way. I think they're trying to, I think they're in that vein of psychedelic rock, and they're pushing it further now, in their own way. I think that they're successful, and I think they're earnest in their effort. I don't think that they're trying to just ape it.
I remember when you first told me about them
Yeah.
with their first album, and I gave them a brief listen, and I told you it's derivative,
Mhm.
and you said, "Yeah, but my God, look who they're driving
Right.
from," and I got to give them a new listen. I
Yeah.
really do.
I think they're deserving of it.
Yeah.
They're really good.
Okay.
And if you read into some of the stuff they've done, like there's some story behind a couple of their songs that are very interesting. Stuff with Michael Jackson, and like Sean Lennon has a history with Michael Jackson. There's a lot of history within what they're doing.
Okay.
That is, it's thought provoking.
Well, I'm glad we've covered 2 bands.
Yeah.
In this episode. I think it's great. But it is time for a word from our sponsor.
Well,
Okay, it's the
Second.
last idea. Go ahead.
one last thing. Now it wasn't. I don't think it is that they just said like sort of when they were like in the early stages of their band, that was sort of like it was their
Their
lead,
influence.
their guide,
Yeah.
not as in like they were trying to.
They were influenced
this
by
people.
them, not necessarily copy them.
Yeah, that was like a guide for
Okay.
what they didn't understand in the music world. I would say. I wouldn't say they're directly deriving.
And that's important too, isn't it, to have some sort of a mentor or some sort of a path to follow?
Yeah, sort of in a way that 21 Pilots is for me.
Yeah.
I bet like
Okay.
You personally. Yeah.
Their,
3 bands.
their other inspirations were Bruce Springsteen, The Cure, and Oasis. And actually, the guitarist's initial Craigslist ad specifically sought musicians with an Oasis influence.
Oasis influence.
It's funny when I hear the Killers. I hear, like, if I didn't know anything about them, I would say that's an English band. In the same way, I heard the Decemberists and thought that's got to be an Irish band.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that's probably we should look it up, or maybe another episode. I don't know. There was like maybe a time period where artists were trying to sound English. Like I would say like
That's the thing about like Green Day too.
Yeah,
You'll hear the pronunciation because they're influenced by these British punk bands.
right. That's the band I was gonna go to.
In all my discussions, it seems to me like albums are first released in Europe. And then the follow-up albums or the same album is later released in the United States. And I wonder if that's part of it. We want to release in the United Kingdom first and let people think we are a band from the United Kingdom. It could be.
And
It could be a tactic.
Right.
they said something about it where they were really successful early on, like in the UK. They found a lot more success there, so they sort of leaned into that for a while.
Yeah. I think it's more common than what you would think
Probably.
that they do.
That's something I'm gonna keep an ear out for.
Yeah. Okay, now a word from our sponsor. We'll be right back.
Hurry, 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 come one, come all, step right up, good people of Scratch Ankle, it's me, Hilton Belmont the Third, but you can just call me Hilton Belmont, because I'm number 1, that's right, I'm a very big deal, and big deals, that's my specialty, enormous deals, colossal deals, the kind of deals that'll make your puny town from farm stand to grandstand, from short and curly to big and burly, that's right, from the town chapel to the Big Apple. Listen up, Scratch Ankle. I call it Sleepy Scratch Ankle because this town's been cat-napping longer than Crazy Earl's been fapping down at the Scratch Ankle stop sign. But don't you worry, I'm here to liven it up with a little corporate magic. We're gonna make this place explode. Boom! Bigger than the world-famous Barrel Full Darrow podcast. You know, the smartest people, and believe me, I know the smartest people, they're saying that the alley behind the Piggly Wiggly is prime real estate. It's a beautiful alley, and vast. It is truly spectacular. That's where I'm starting. I'm gonna build a luxury mall right there. We'll call it the Grand Piggy Galleria. High-end boutiques, overpriced coffee, and a big fat fountain shaped like a portly, pot-bellied piggy bank. So if you little piggies are ready to bend over and scratch your ankles for me, I mean, if you've got a business, a house, a shed, or even a suspiciously large taxidermy collection, call me up. You know the number. Hurry, 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 let's make a deal and make that piggy squeal.
And on Kinsey.
And we're back.
That might not be. You might want to.
Restart.
No, this is my control panel. Get the fuck off.
That's out of context.
Okay, so we're back. And it's time to talk about a movie. And we have the beautiful and talented Megan to kind of walk us through this movie that we're going to discuss. And what's the name of the movie, Megan?
It is called The Sandlot.
The Sandlot. Well, that sounds pretty beachy.
Might think.
Yeah, so it's like a kid's baseball
Yeah.
diamond.
Yeah.
The Sandlot for our listeners that aren't familiar.
Yeah.
Somehow.
So I feel like baseball holds a special place in a lot of people's hearts, either from growing up playing it or watching games with family, or just simply because it's considered America's pastime. Like personally, how I grew up playing baseball with you, Dad, and played on a little league team.
Yeah,
And I was the best one on the team.
you
And
were.
the only girl.
You hit the ball the furthest than any of those other boys.
Yeah.
And
I didn't need the team either. I just and then just later on playing, getting to play baseball with Logan as he grew up. And we also love to spend time taking the ferry over from Bremerton to Seattle to go to the Mariners games together. So that's always a lot of fun. And so baseball just kind of always carried a lot of nostalgia for me and probably a lot of other people. So I think The Sandlot is just kind of the quintessential baseball and summertime movie. And just kind of go down the whole plot line here, and then we can.
Yeah, give
Discuss.
us the plot.
So the film follows Scotty Smalls, a shy new kid who moves to a new town and ends up joining a neighborhood baseball group, only for him and his new friends to land themselves in the biggest pickle of their lives. More about that later. Released in 1993 and filmed primarily in Salt Lake City, Utah, and it only took them 42 days to film a movie. The Sandlot captures childhood friendship, summertime freedom, and just the way kids can turn ordinary moments into legendary adventures. So I think that gives it lasting generational appeal. So the movie is narrated by Smalls as an adult, which the narrator is the voice of the director, David Mickey Evans. So Smalls is inexperienced at baseball and socially isolated when he first arrives. Benny the Jet Rodriguez, the most talented and respected kid in the group, kind of takes him under his wing and helps him become part of the Sandlot group. So the boys spend their days playing baseball, roasting each other, chasing girls, getting into trouble, and just creating exaggerated legends. One of which, the big one, is Squints telling the tale of the beast in their idyllic treehouse after Ham introduced Smalls to s'mores. He did not know what a s'more was. And during that scene, Patrick Renna, who plays Ham, he improvised the most iconic quote, probably, of the whole movie. "You're killing me, Smalls." It was supposed to be, "You kill me, Smalls." So Ham's one of my favorite characters. He's really funny. I love when he's taunting the other team during a game. And many of those insults were improvised as well during that funny game with the other kids. And the movie was filmed during a record-breaking heat wave in Utah with temperatures reaching 112 degrees. But the pool scene was filmed during a cold, overcast day.
Oh,
Yeah.
Like the swimming.
Yeah.
that'd be my favorite part.
Yeah, the swimming pool scene. Yeah, so it was freezing that day, and I think you can see Squint's teeth actually chattering during that scene because it was really cold that day. And during the filming of that pool scene at the public pool, where they went on a really hot day in the movie, the director specifically told the actor of Squints to keep his tongue in his mouth during the iconic moment of pretending to drown so that he could take his shot at kissing Wendy Peppercorn.
The lifeguard.
Yes.
Beautiful
Yeah.
high school girl.
Yes. Much older. Yes. Older woman. Yeah. And then in a hilarious carnival scene, the boys get some Big Chief chewing tobacco, and then they go on a tilt-a-whirl, which makes them violently ill, vomiting on other carnival goers to the great song Wipeout. No, sorry, not Wipeout. Tequila.
Tequila.
Sorry, Wipeout's later.
That is such a great scene because they all think they're going to be so bad at it.
Yeah.
Doing the back,
Yeah.
right?
Look what we got.
They take this big hunk bite out of
Huge.
it, out of the plug.
Yeah.
I feel like this movie is so good because it's like a coming of age type of story, and it's not all glamorized. They get into these things that are situational like this,
Yeah.
that are so true to life that I think
Yeah.
everybody can kind of recognize, and they've had an experience like that in their
Yeah.
life where they've had too much chewing tobacco and spit it all over the place.
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah.
I have not. That's disgusting.
Yeah,
And-
The Wendy Peppercorn moment is it's so good.
Then for the tobacco, they used a mix of licorice and bacon bits, which is enough to make me sick just thinking
It works
about
perfect
that.
for the movie.
Yeah. So this leads us to the biggest pickle they've ever been
the
in.
biggest pickle.
After losing a very important baseball over a fence that is guarded by the Beast. So this baseball was signed by Babe Ruth, and that has been passed down to Smalls' stepfather from his dad, and will be passed down to Smalls one day. And then the misadventures of getting the ball back from the Beast ensues. So the Beast was played by several English Mastiffs. The largest one weighed over 200 pounds. You can't even imagine. That's like a pony.
Oh my God.
So the boys try various inventions. They're true future engineers in attempts to retrieve the ball from the yard. They tried different things like lowering down into the yard by using a pulley method. They build different like tracks and vehicles to go on those tracks with scoop attachments to try to
These are all
collect
a
the
record
ball.
set.
Yeah,
popular-
exactly. Yeah,
popular
record
toys.
stuff.
The Lego.
Yeah, yeah. And they also attached 3 vacuums to a catcher's mask at one point. So I'm wondering whose mom was missing their vacuums.
Let me do a little backfill here. So they're playing baseball,
Mhm.
but they lost their ball.
Yeah.
So
Then he
Smalls-
smashed the guts out of the ball, right? And then they couldn't play.
They hurt the baseball. The skin came off the baseball.
Yeah.
So they had to stop playing. But Small says, I've got a baseball. I'll go get it. And
Yeah.
it's his dad's Babe Ruth's son.
Display stand.
And
Yeah.
He doesn't realize who Baby Ruth is,
Yeah.
right?
He was so experienced, he didn't know who Babe Ruth was.
Yeah.
He brings the ball back to the game,
Yeah.
and it gets smashed over the fence again, where the
Yep.
Beast is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then in the meantime, so then they start scrambling. They're like, because then he's like, I don't know, some chick signed it, Baby Ruth. And then they freak out. And then they're like about to jump over the fence, and they're like, no. And then they're like, okay, go collect bottles and stuff and turn it in for money. We need however much money, 58 cents or 98 cents, something like that, to get a new ball. So then Benny signs it terribly and puts it back on the display because Smalls' stepfather is out of town on business, so his mom will know the difference. So that way she just sees a ball sitting there.
Another cool aspect of the movie is like a lot of it hinges on 98 cents. Like
Yeah.
even for the time, 98 cents is like not a whole lot of money, but to kids it's a whole different world.
Mhm.
And 98 cents is really hard to come by. Whether it's, this day and age or that, but
And this was set, the setting was like 1960s.
62, I think.
62, okay.
Yeah,
So
762.
98 cents was a hell of a lot of money for a kid back then.
Yeah.
But and that's what drives the whole plot. Is just it's a little minute thing, and
Yeah.
it seems so true to life. Like how many adventures have you had
Yeah.
based on 98 cents? You think how many times you've gone to the corner store and had to ride your bicycle down 3 blocks away.
Back in my day, 98 cents would buy a lot of shit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's 100 pieces of Swedish fish for me.
Okay, go on, Mag.
So after all of their failed attempts, ultimately Benny has a dream, or he has a visit from Babe Ruth. And so Benny decides he just has to hop the fence and run up and grab the ball and then outrun the beast and get back over the fence. So this scene is set to the song Wipeout, when we see the beast chasing Benny all throughout the town, causing all sorts of chaos. They're ripping the movie theater screens. They've messed up the 4th of July cake in the middle of the town party. So all sorts of damage is done. And then when they eventually loop back to the Sandlot, the beast, so Benny jumps over the fence, and then the beast breaks through the fence, which then causes the fence to fall on top of him, which then, seeing him pinned down under the fence and stuck, makes the boys feel sympathy for him. And then Benny and Smalls bravely lift up the fence to help him, which then Smalls is thanked with a big slobbery kiss from the beast. So then Benny and Smalls gather their courage and knock on Mr. Myrtle's door. And Mr. Myrtle is portrayed by James Earl Jones.
He's the beast owner.
Yeah, he's the owner of the beast, whose name we actually learn is Hercules. Mr. Myrtle used to play alongside Babe Ruth, we learn.
That's got to be one of James Earl Jones' rare in-person roles where he's acting in real life.
Seems to be popular in baseball movies.
What else?
Kevin Costner, Field of Dreams.
Gosh, yes, you're right. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Mr. Myrtle, we learn he used to play alongside Babe Ruth, and he was an incredible baseball player until he got hit in the head with a ball during a game, causing him to go blind. So then he offers the boys a ball signed by the entire 1927 Yankees team in exchange for them coming to talk baseball with him once a week.
Wow.
No.
He doesn't get many visitors because of all these rumors about the beast and his owner, how he would have him eat kids and stuff. So the fact that these kids can't, and he even at one point said, "Why didn't you just knock and ask?" And they were like, ah. So then the movie, and ultimately Smalls, he did, have to come clean about the ball, but his stepdad wasn't too upset so he only grounded him for a week because he got that the ball signed by the entire team, and they did get the slobbery ball back as well. So the movie concludes with the story of what came next for each character. Squints even married Wendy Peppercorn, and
Yes,
I think they had 9 kids.
Oh my God.
And then we see in a scene that Benny the Jet made it to the pros, playing for the Dodgers, whose hat he was wearing throughout the movie. And adult Benny is actually played by Pablo Vittar, Mike Vittar, which is Benny's actor, real life older brother.
Huh.
So yeah, he played adult Benny, his real brother did.
Nice.
And then we see that the announcer of the game is none other than Smalls, wearing his fish hat that has a huge bill on it from the beginning of the movie that Benny had told him to throw in the fireplace. And in his announcer's box, he has sentimental items, including a framed picture of the Sandlot crew, the slobbery Babe Ruth ball, the ball Benny signed as a placeholder while they tried to get the ball back, and the 27 Yankees ball.
Wow.
So then after a home run hit, a cute scene with Smalls and Benny giving each other a thumbs up, referring back to a heartwarming moment earlier in the movie when Benny gave Smalls a reassuring thumbs up while he was learning to play ball with the Sandlot crew. And I also feel like this movie is very reminiscent of Stand By Me, because it also kind of highlights childhood friendships and adventures that profoundly affect you and shape you. And just watching it as an adult just makes you feel nostalgic, not just for baseball, but for the entire era of that childhood where summers just felt huge and days felt endless and your friends were your entire world.
Yeah.
So I think it's a lot of nostalgia and
There's a lot of heart. In
Yeah.
the movie,
yeah, it's so good.
and that's something that's really hard to capture.
Yeah,
Great movie.
yeah,
Um,
very good. I know. I'm like every time summer rolls around or something, I'm like, I need to watch The Sandlot. It just comes to my brain. It's a constant rewatch for me for sure. And
Well, I'm
Well,
I'm glad
it.
you suggested that we discuss it because we got to watch it again
yeah, yeah,
in preparation for this.
yeah.
Nice.
And that was a real treat, you
Mhm.
know.
Watching it with everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of fun. And is it streaming?
Yeah, it's on Disney and Hulu.
Great
Okay.
question.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can buy a gas station hot dog to enjoy the movie. You don't have to spend it on the movie.
That was nice.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Gas station hot dog. It's
Logue, what do you think of the Sandlot?
I wanted to mention the parallel with Hercules because
Yeah.
in the movie they were describing, or I don't know if they were describing. I think they were describing Benny as like more than a man but less than a god. Was it him or were they describing the dog? I think they were describing Benny as that. And they said that was like Hercules or no. So and then someone
Hercules is more than a man. I mean, the character Hercules in mythology is more than a man,
Yes.
less than a god.
Were they talking about Babe Ruth
They're-
when they were talking about that?
Oh yeah, it might have been. And Benny was the one who was like, oh, someone said
Legends. What was that quote? But legends never die.
legends never die.
or
I have to look it
that
up.
they were saying Babe Ruth is like more than a man but less than a god, and then Benny was the one who said like Hercules.
Heroes get remembered, but legends never die. He said that to
good
Benny
one.
during the dream scene.
Mhm.
Uh,
Babe Ruth
Babe Ruth
said
did.
to Benny.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Remember, kid, there's heroes and there's legends. Heroes get remembered, but legends never die. Follow your heart, kid, and you'll never go wrong.
Yeah, and there's like a parallel with Babe Ruth and Benny like within the movie, and later on they found out the dog's name was Hercules.
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
a way to do it because like the chase scene they were shown as like a cop and robber, you know, they're
Yeah.
equals in different ways.
Very true. Yeah.
that's a great point.
that
Really-
is.
really insightful.
Very. Yeah.
Because like think about it. One thing I like about this movie is that it's like it has a different perspective. Normally you see a movie centered around the Benny character, the hero,
Mhm. Yeah.
right? This one is centered around who's the
Smalls,
Small.
Yeah.
who knew
Small
nothing
is
about.
us. Everybody that watches the movie is small. They're
Yeah.
not the hero. You're
Yeah.
the nerd.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's one of the things that's really nice about this movie. And I think it makes it so relatable. And
Yeah.
especially being a coming of age story, like you really put yourself into that
Yeah.
perspective.
Yeah.
He's every man.
Yeah.
Smalls is. Yeah. He didn't know who Babe Ruth was.
Yeah.
Right.
The first time he was in the outfield and they hit a ball to him.
Yeah.
He missed it by like 50, I don't know,
That makes
10
it
feet.
like
15.
that's kind of another parallel to Stand By Me is like we're hearing it from Gordy's point of view, not like Chris, the cool guy.
Yeah, I understand.
So that just
Yeah.
made me realize that it's
Yeah.
he's kind of the every man and just kind of interacting with others and
Yeah, that's not a thing you see too often in movies, but
Yeah.
how effective.
yeah.
Very.
Logue, do you remember like the first time you watched The Sandlot or anything or first initial thoughts? Because I know I've been showing it to you since you were a kid.
Yeah, you showed it to me when I was a kid, and I was extraordinarily bored.
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah, yeah, really.
That's great that you're honest with me.
Yeah, every rewatch, I appreciate something more about it. And
Yeah.
when we watched it the other night, like usually I'm just like, oh, this part's cool, but most of it's still boring. But the other night when we watched it, I was like, this is a great movie.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
really do appreciate it more with age as you
Yeah.
get into these types of situations.
Yeah.
Youth is wasted on the young.
Absolutely.
Because now you're 16, you kind of look back at that stuff.
Right.
And give it, a lot more appreciation than you did before.
Yeah.
All right.
It was a good episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're at almost 50 minutes here. Makes me wonder if I should do a word of the day.
Yeah.
Do it.
Absolutely.
Okay, word of the week. Efficacy. Efficacy. That is the ability of something, such as a medicine, treatment, or method, to produce the specific desired result or intended outcome. So basically it means, does this medicine, treatment, or method, does it work in a controlled, ideal setting? So it's more medical related. The word efficacy is more of a medical term that you would hear a doctor say. Effectiveness, similar, but it means, does it work in the real world, outside of a laboratory, outside of a test environment? Does it work in the real world? Then the word efficiency means, does it work with minimal waste of time, money, or effort? So we have efficacy, effectiveness, and efficiency. Those three words, I think, can be confusing. I hope that helps.
Mhm.
Okay, Logan, ready?
Yeah.
Joke of the week. Why did the golf ball cross the road?
So he was stuck inside the chicken.
World.
It was stuck inside the chicken. I love it.
I find.
Chicken
Okay.
needs to stay away from golf courses.
Did
Question of
not see
the
that coming.
question of the week. Now, last week, the question of the week was, is it possible for the left and right sides of your body to have a difference in pain threshold? That's a damn good question.
It is.
In my personal experience, yes. And the National Institute of Health, in an article titled Lateral Asymmetry of the Human Pain Sensitivity, released in 1987, experimental studies in humans revealed a lower pain threshold on the left non-dominant side.
Hmm.
Left-handed subjects showed decreased pain sensitivity on the left side. Right-hand subjects on the right side.
Decreased on the dominant side.
Decrease on the dominant side.
If I'm not mistaken, you're a lefty. Do you experience it opposite?
No,
Huh.
because I am cross-handed. I am mixed-handed.
Oh.
Okay. According to my mom, when I was a little kid, a toddler, I was born right-handed, but I burned my right hand on a pot, and I started using my left hand. I think that's total bullshit. Unless she's the one that stuck my hand to the pot. Okay. So,
Just really want a lefty, I guess.
yeah, I mean, I guess I would just say I'm not a natural left-handed person.
All right.
And a few years ago, I went to the dentist, a new dentist, and they took x-rays of my mouth, and they said I needed a deep cleaning under my teeth. Okay.
Oh.
That involves 7 shots to each side of your face. And they do one side at a time.
I've never heard of such a thing.
So
Awful.
It
It sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah.
I went in the first time and they were going to do the right side. Okay. Oh, this might work. It killed me. My right side killed me. They were giving me the shots and it was horrible. So much that I didn't want to go back to get the left side done.
Yeah.
But when I went back to get the left side done, it wasn't as bad.
Wow.
So maybe this holds true even for me as a mixed-handed person.
Yeah.
The dominant side has less pain.
Whether one side or the other is kind of irrelevant. It just goes to show that, like, if you're fearful of one side, like the other side
Yeah.
will be all right.
And a couple of weeks ago, I was at the dermatologist, and they were freezing several precancerous places on both of my arms. And the right side, my right arm, hurt much more than what happened on my left.
Wow, I've never considered the possibility.
Yep.
And I'm almost looking forward to my next dental appointment. So
So I was trying to think of anything I've had done to both sides that was
Yeah.
the same. But
Yeah.
I don't have any experience
Yeah.
in that,
Well,
so I don't.
Eventually, you probably will.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
new question of the week. What is the length of a day on the planet Venus? Nobody answer. We'll talk about it next week. What is the length of a day on the planet Venus? You'll be surprised. Thought of the week. Your nose is a musical instrument. You can either pick it or blow it. Okay, don't forget about the playlist that I keep attaching music to. I hope you're listening. I hope you're enjoying it. Building on season 2 now. Be sure you click the right one. If you want to contact me, God knows why, but you can do so by clicking on the send me a text button in the episode or directly at bfodpodcast@gmail.com. Also, don't forget that you can contribute to this podcast. There's an option within the episode to support my show. And what that means is you'll say, yeah, I like Daryl and I like his show so much, I'm going to give him a couple of dollars a month. From here on out, rest of my life. Just kidding. But that's an option if you're having fun, if you're enjoying it. Firstly, if that's the case, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, wake the kids, and talk about Barrel Full of Dare. Secondly, if you're just in love with it, you can support the show. If you do, that's great. If you don't, that's great. I just enjoy having you guys listening. Okay?
And if you send him a text, he might send you a bonus joke of the week to reach out to.
Send me a text and you'll get a bonus joke of the week.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll get some unwanted thoughts of the week.
Potential.
Okay.
He won't spam.
So we're going on almost an hour now.
Hour of fun.
And I want to thank my panel, Megan, Logan, and Kinsey. We had a really good time.
Mm-hmm.
And it was great input. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
You're very welcome. It was my pleasure. I hope you were entertained. I hope you were educated. And we'll do this again next week. Bye for now.